What's up, guys? How we doing? And welcome back to another podcast. So today I have Wallace Wilson. So Wallace, if you'd like to explain to the listeners a little bit about yourself and sort of how you got into the industry.
Yeah, of course. First off, just thanks for getting me on. It's the podcast is really growing at a good rate, so it's interesting to get on here. And I'm always listening to it myself. So I'm 23 now. I've been PTing for about 3 years, but my kind of background was football before. So I was playing scholarship at Oxford United till 15 till about 17. Then I was playing semi-professional football, and then it kind of got to a point where I was either going to stick at semi-pro or try and do something else. So football coaching was an option as well. So I went abroad for 2 years. So it's just kind of broken up though. So I had my first year, which was in Tunisia. So that was just doing football coaching. But the kind of rep scene was like a lot of like drinking and stuff like that. But it was interesting. It was a good time. Learned a lot. And then I came back, and then I was actually like a gym salesman. So that was good, but then I didn't like selling something that wasn't mine as such. So because for football coaching, it was me as a football coach, and obviously now PTing and online coaching, it's my business. So it kind of showed me what I wanted to do in a sense, if I wanted to sell myself as a business. So did that for a little bit, learned a little bit about sales in general, but I just didn't like the whole kind of like process, just always chasing and not really having any kind of purpose to it as such. It was just about numbers all the time. Then I went back abroad again, did that, and then we have to change destination. So the first destination was really good, and then the second destination wasn't so much. I was actually in Lanzarote. I know you're going on holiday there, right?
Yeah,
it's good, man. I enjoyed working there, but I didn't really enjoy I enjoyed living there, but I didn't actually enjoy working there that much. And then it just kind of got to a point where I was actually more interested about going to the gym after work than I was than actually going to work. So just kind of thought about it, and then just got to a point I was just like, right, let's just take the leap, and just got one release. I'm not really a big fan of them in general, but I just kind of wanted to get straight through it because I'd obviously been away from education for a while, but I just did like the kind of blast course. My knowledge was okay anyway, but just threw myself into it. I had a bit of money saved up, so just went for that. Then it was like a 6 to 8 week course and PTing. So did that. It was actually me and my girlfriend that did that. So we had a kind of joint business together, and then we moved up to Inverness. So my mum and dad had a holiday home up here, and the kind of logic behind it was kind of starting somewhere fresh because there was no like reputation or anything like that. Because sometimes I've seen mates and stuff do PTing in their hometown, and they kind of like a lot of their mates that all kind of got free PT sessions, stuff like that. And also it kind of proved to us if we could go somewhere totally new, no one knew us, and see how we did. So that's what we done. Came up here for 3 years ago. So, and it's went pretty well, to be fair. So built it up slowly. Also compete in men's physique as well. So I did that, would have been 2007. No, it would have been 2016, and then also just last summer there as well. So, and that's kind of where we're at now. So PTing for 3 years, competing men's physiques now and again, and then also started online coaching. I was actually started it during prep last year, and then now it's kind of booming again. So it's good. So that's pretty much it, man. That's the life of me so far.
That's cool, man. So in terms of when you were like a salesperson, firstly, do you find like from doing that job that's helped you as a personal trainer? Because I spoke on a podcast yesterday in terms of actual personal trainers, you're basically selling yourself, aren't you?
For sure. Yeah, it did help in a sense, and I also got to see the kind of lifestyle PTs lived in a sense. So, but it did help the kind of funnel system, like the amount of prospects you got to get, and then you kind of have a rate of how many of those prospects you actually get a sale out and things like that. So obviously that relates back to PTing, because I'm still with DW, so I'm not employed by them, but I pay rent there, and we had to do like a kind of blast course with them as well, all about sales, and they were basically they did a funnel system as well. So for example, if you get 10 leads as such, then there's like maybe one of them will be made as a client. So that helped with that, and it definitely helped with confidence to go up to people and just talk to them, because with my gym sales I always have to do a bit leaflets and go into like stores and like kind of like try and sell basically. So that was good, and obviously going on the gym floor now. But then again with football coaching, I had to do the same thing. It was in the hotel, so trying to sell like football coaching packages to basically adults for their kids and stuff like that. So it's always been some sort of like face-to-face interaction, but it definitely helped. But I think it helped me more in the sense of actually showing me what I wanted to do as such, because just being on a laptop all day and just calling people up and just getting like rejections all the time, people are like, why are you calling me, and all this kind of stuff. So, and then I see the PTs come in with their Tupperware, and then they used to just chat away, and they'd like go home, come back, train, and just cool lifestyle. So, and I guess coming from football as well, where you kind of got that lifestyle in the sense of that you do your training, come back in, eat, then go again. I kind of seen that lifestyle of just a bit more freedom as such, rather than just a closed in 9 to 5 or whatever. So I quite like that.
Yeah, I was definitely the same in terms of, I think my passion just overtook everything. I was like, hang on, if there's a chance of making a career out of this, then 100% try. If you don't try, say like in 10 years time and you were still doing the job before, you'd always think like, what if I went for the course and that.
Yeah, 100%. It's so true though, because you speak to like, well, you'll be the same, work with older clients and stuff. They don't ever tell you like memories and stuff like that. It's more about stuff like they kind of regret. They always like just do it, you know. And you might as well. It's because I know Gary Vee's big on that. Just some of his stuff's pretty decent, but obviously he's becoming more of like a motivational speaker now. But some of his stuff about like social media used to be really good, and it makes sense, you know. So because what age are you now?
I'm 23, mate.
Yeah, so it's weird when you think about it, like only 23 if you live your whole life again, you know, you're only like 46 is still young as such, you know, it's mental. So when you get in that mindset, you just kind of just throw yourself at it, I guess.
I agree, and I think just like yourself, I think it was at the right time to make that jump. In terms of where you were at and then moving to Inverness with your partner, was that a good decision? Because I was very similar, because I'm from Ipswich, which is probably very, very far away from Inverness right now, but my family's from Ipswich, but I live and work in Chelmsford, which is like an hour away. So I was the same. I couldn't have gone back there and started a business. I wanted to move completely away. No one knew who I was and start from fresh. Was that a good decision for you?
I think so, in a way. Because I think it made it hard, and then also made you kind of like sell yourself a bit more. Because I think if I just had like mates around me, I'd just be like, I'll just come in and I'll kind of do a free session on you, and it'll like kind of get attention, this kind of thing. So I think it was quite a good decision, really. And then it almost gave me, if I ever wanted to go back to Glasgow, then I'm in a good spot because I've got so much experience behind me. Whereas if I went and started in Glasgow, if maybe I didn't do it very well, or because you'll be the same the person you were when you first started PT to now is like a totally different person, you know. So I think like going back to Glasgow now, I'd be totally different than I would be if I just started there, and it'd be better off. So I think it was a good decision. I think so.
So let's talk about your actual business. So you go by the name of Dynamorph Fitness, and your thing is designed by Dynamorph. How did you go around coming up with that? Like why? And explain that.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually quite good I get this to explain this, because people are always like, what is that name all about? So the morph part is basically, obviously you got ectomorph, endomorph, and then mesomorph, so just the body types. And the kind of reason why having that part of it is just so you're not really closed into one kind of niche as such. It's covering all body types, not to kind of like pinpoint one. And then I've got part like Greek in my family, and obviously with like kind of Greeks starting the whole kind of physique kind of thing. If you think about it, like obviously you got like the Greek gods and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that I'm a Greek god or anything like that for a start, because I'll get absolutely destroyed for that. But you know what I'm trying to get at. They kind of brought that whole approach, I guess. So I kind of looked up words in Greek. So it was dynami meant strength. So I was kind of basically trying to go the approach of a kind of like a stronger body type, basically just kind of like a new body type, if you like. So it's just that transformation kind of aspect to it. Possibly taking someone from a different physique to something totally different. And in the design by Dynamorph, I just kind of wanted something that would try to get a bit of attention as such. Because obviously you are helping design someone's new lifestyle, new body. So that was kind of the reason behind that. Just something quite catchy, you know, rather than just a name. So that was the reason for that. So, and then obviously the D&D, so it kind of blended quite well. So that was the reason for that.
Yeah, I like that a lot, to be fair, because I said to you just before, I had to find out what your actual name was, because whenever we message each other, it's just like, Dino's messaging me, not Wallace. So when did that come up?
I followed your Instagram the other day on my actual account, because it's totally different. So.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Sometimes I like, it depends really. Sometimes I like the people people's business with their names in it, and then sometimes they don't. It depends, really. To be honest, it's just a name. It depends what the actual person is like and what their business model is like, I guess. Because it's like Gymshark, for example. See, if someone brought out Gym Dolphin, you'd be like, what is that? You know, you'd think, what kind of name's that? But just because they grew it so well, and because the whole their whole kind of process of doing it and how they documented it all makes you kind of believe in it, you know. So it's just, it is a weird name, but then now it seems normal. Because I remember when Gymshark first came out, and it was all this, like, there was a big jacked like shark, and I thought, what's that? Like, as if you're cutting about the gym like a shark, you know. But then now, obviously, people just don't even bat an eyelid. So it's more about the people behind the brand as such. So it's cool.
It's very similar to, you know, Jamie Alderton, Grenade J.
Yeah.
So his name was Grenade J, and I think for ages it was just Grenade J, and people still call him Grenade J. But his name's actually Jamie Alderton. But like you said, like if you just zone out for a minute and actually forget who he is, and you just hear the word Grenade J, you think that's so weird, and like it is so weird. But because you put a face and a personality and what he does and what he stands for, it just works.
I think that's why you shouldn't get too caught up in like a name and stuff like that. Just pick one and just go with it. Because if you put everything into your business, then it doesn't matter what you're called. You know, you'll make something of it for sure.
How quickly did that come around? So when you became qualified, were you like, okay, I'm going to go with a name, or did it come a bit later? How did you decide that?
I just kind of got it straight away, really, because it was like me and my partner who started it, so we kind of needed something. But then I've carried it on now myself, so just got it straight away.
Okay, cool.
Straight away, pretty much, So there was no kind of like, I never really thought of putting my name to it. I did think for a while, maybe as like time went on, but then I just thought I'll just stick with it. So because I built a brand with it, so just keep it as it is, you know.
Yeah, wicked, man. So how did you manage to compete and build a business at the same time? Because you said you competed in 2016, so that would have been when you were first kind of personal trainer, and then last year, like how do you find, because for myself, when I competed last year, it was fine, but then as time went on, obviously you've got a very, very low body fat percentage, you've got no energy, and I know that any job that you do, you're going to have to power through, but I definitely think with personal training, you know, you're giving that service, that one-to-one service, and because you're feeling drained inside, you've got to show that you're not. So how did you find that?
It was tough, but it was tough, because I see most personal trainers who do well, like, you've always got a lot of energy, you know, and my thing is always like quite a good, like, bubbly personality, like just always got loads of energy. So people used to always know if I was kind of like dying or whatever, but because I would change quite a bit, but I would try just for those. They would only really see that outside of the PT sessions, because I would just give everything I got for the PT sessions, and then with that, I was just kind of just chilled out, and that was my own time. But it wasn't easy. It was quite tough. But I think if you just explain the process to people, and then people will be okay with it, because also it gives you a good background in a sense, because I've seen people before with PTs or whatever, and then they've told people like they're going into a diet or whatever, and it's like people, unless you've done it yourself, like people have got nothing to kind of relate to. So I think people have got a bit of respect for it, because it's kind of like, well, you're doing it as well, you know. So you're kind of putting yourself through it. But it was not, the first time wasn't the best, because the first time was like kind of straight off the cuff. I remember I was just kind of like dying because it was summer anyway, because I was playing football all the time, and then my dad's like into bodybuilding as well. That kind of that's what kind of got me into it at the start. And then he said he was doing a bodybuilding show, the UK DFBA, so he just seen it online or something. So he said he was doing it. I was like, right, okay, fair enough. And then my mum was doing it as well. So because they kind of do, it's very weird. They kind of do like it's a primal diet kind of thing, which I'm not a big fan of. So we always go back and forth. So it's kind of like a ketogenic diet, really. So they just started that, and they started getting, obviously, it's just another form of calorie deficit anyway, but they started seeing like weight loss, so they started looking better and better, and he'd always wanted to do it, so they said they were doing that, and I thought, I might as well do it. So I was like, I checked the dates and stuff, I was like 8 weeks out, so obviously I had to be quite an aggressive deficit while playing football. But I think with football, it kind of like, I'm always quite a big advocate of, obviously you can't track it out well, but and I was in the deficit without having to like think about it too much. Whereas if you're just plodding away on a treadmill, it can be quite tough at times. But that wasn't the best time for me, in a sense, for building my business, because it was so severe. Because I realised I only had 8 weeks, so I just had to blast through it. But still done it, and then I actually kept it under the radar as well. Like, I didn't document any of it. I don't know why. I guess it was maybe just the fear of not doing well, because I've always kind of done well and stuff. So I didn't want to like tell people I was doing it and then not do well, basically. But then I won it, so then I basically just shoved it all over Instagram. Got good, quite traction of it, and then I did the British finals as well. So. But that one wasn't so good. By that point, I just really didn't enjoy it anymore. So.
Sorry, guys, we just had a few problems with the sound there. Sorry, Wallace, mate. What are you saying in regards to competing?
Yeah, so got to the British finals, and then I was done with that, and then I just didn't want anything to do with like competing anymore. I think it was just quite a long period of time in a calorie deficit, and I was doing it all by myself. I wasn't totally clued up, if I'm being honest, at that time, and what I was totally doing. I was learning as I was going along. I had a basic knowledge of like macronutrients and stuff like that, and how to basically perform a calorie deficit, but it was just more when to implement refeeds, stuff like that. I just kept on going and going and going. Just like, I remember I competed at, what was I at the first show? I think I was basically like 10 pounds down between the two, but like I wasn't any leaner, so it was not good. And then I had a bit of time off from that, just a bit of time off the gym, but I was still obviously PTing and stuff like that. And then I came back to it. And then I competed again just last summer, and that was like totally different. That was really, really good. Documented all, business grew like mad during it. So I started like a 20-week prep, basically, documented each week, like with check-ins and stuff. And then just plowed Instagram. I got a much better relationship with clients from it. I knew how long I can do. Like I would always say to myself, I'll do 2 clients and then I'll have a break, rather than before I would do like 5 or 6 back to back, and it was just silly, really. So I'd always have 2 clients, that's it, and then take a break and then go from there. I tried to it's actually funny because my most interacted post through that whole prep was one when I was kind of more honest about opening up about maybe like how I was actually not giving everything I got to my business still. So I was kind of opened up about that. And I kind of like let relationships kind of die off when I probably shouldn't have done that. So I was actually like making sure I was still chatting to my mates, chatting to my girlfriend at the time, chatting to my family and stuff like that. So I got good interaction because I actually showed that I'm not just a robot who just keeps going, because that's what a lot of people see sometimes. And I think opening up with it does definitely help. But then I also reiterated it is my choice at the end of the day. And there's some people who don't have that choice of not being able to eat, etc. So just have to accept it and crack on with it. And I think doing that, being much more open with it, a bit more transparent, got better traction, and I got better business out of it. But the way I kind of done it with trying to compete while kind of building my business, it was obviously, I reiterate all the time, it's not easy, but I think if you're just open with it, open that you're probably not going to be most energetic, but there's no reason why you still can't be teaching and always being there for your client, because it doesn't take that much energy to do that. But being like really energetic, so obviously you can understand that. But I think it ever gets to a point where you're literally like a zombie, then maybe you just have to look at what you're doing and maybe kind of like weigh up whether you should be doing or not. But yeah, it went really well the second time. I think just documenting it all the time. People liked seeing the check-ins every week, like, oh, is it going to look better or whatever, and then they could just relate back to it. But the only thing is, sometimes people think that that's the only way you can lose weight sometimes, and obviously it's not. For average population client, they don't really need to go into that extremes, obviously. So it's trying to get the balance between that as well, like always documenting that. But then you can also, with competing, you can show your little tips and stuff like that as you go along. You'll be learning stuff yourself all the time. So, because you notice, like at each prep, you find it not so much easier, but you find different tips all the time and different ways of kind of making the whole process a bit easier, so you can basically pass it on to your clients. I'm sure if you do it again, you'll kind of maybe find it slightly easier, and you'll know tips you learned from last time, and then you'll pick some up from this time. So, but the second time was a much better, if you like, business model of how to do it. I would definitely recommend trying to be transparent with your clients, try and document as much as you can. Try and, if you learn anything, try and pass it on to your clients, and then also make sure your routine for the day suits yourself and then also suits your clients as well. So don't be selfish towards either side, because it will never end well, really. So make sure you got your time for your cardio, for your steps, and then also got time for your clients as well. So that's the way I used to always do it. So I used to do, like, if I was doing online check-ins, whatever, I would have that as a rest day. So I would do like a little bit of PT in the morning, then do online check-ins, get steps in, cardio, and that's where I've done it. So just about planning out your week, really. I remember I used to have like a whiteboard up, and I used to just have what I was going to do each week. Because you'll probably be the same as me, and I'm sure a lot of our competitors will feel this. Like, and when I kind of prep people for not so much shows or anything like that, but like photo shoots or whatever, it's amazing seeing the transformation, like in a mindset as well. You become so much more anal everything, because you're dieting, you got more time. You become a bit more OCD about everything, I think. I don't know if you're like that. So I became so much more engrossed in like setting out a day, make sure I did little tasks for the day. I had that part of it. So I would do like, right, I need to do steps at this time, this. So it's actually worked out quite well if I had that whiteboard up and I just had a wee tick list. And then sometimes in off season, you can come a bit lethargic and you don't really do that as much. I think especially with the starter prep, you definitely get that you're kind of thriving off it. You'll be the same, and a few other people will feel the same. The start of a diet's actually not too bad. Yeah, you get in that good spot, you actually start to feel a bit better. So I definitely made sure I did that, had my days planned every day, and it worked so much better for me. I remember the times I didn't do it, and I used to just crumble because I didn't have it all planned out. So definitely just planning your week out, and also having like things banked. So I always kind of reiterate to have like rest days banked and stuff like that, just in case you need them. Because obviously you can kind of take like an approach of where you have your rest days planned out, or you can just kind of do it when you think you need it. And that's what I used to do. So if anything came up, for example, my car's in the garage at the moment, so that would be a good time for me to do it if I was in prep, because it'd be a good time to take a rest day, things like that. So just always having the option to bank rest days, stuff like that. Just pre-planning is the big thing.
I agree, and I definitely think prep is the reason why I'm so, I wouldn't say so organised, but so like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing every day, every single week. Not like obsessed with it. I don't have to like tick the boxes, but I think prep is the reason when you have to do your steps, your cardio, your clients, everything like that, your social media. That's how I am. And I think going back to your point in terms of client understanding, I think a lot of my clients were absolutely fantastic with my prep. They understood what it was like. I like to think I wasn't an absolute dickhead towards them, because obviously they could just go elsewhere. And I agree. I think to document your actual, I know you didn't on the first one, but the second one, to document what you do, I think they love to follow it along. In terms of the knowledge that you've gained with prepping, and I think some people think as well, personal training, that like if you're into like bodybuilding, you're only gonna have them kind of clients, which you may do, but you'll come across a lot of people that are out of that kind of zone. But the knowledge that you've gained, how do you transfer that over to your clients?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because obviously, as you say, like people just come to you sometimes just purely for like weight loss or muscle gain. But as PT, you can cover it all, like so many bases, because I've still got clients who play football or do other kind of sports, because I still enjoy that side of it, coming from like a football background as well. But yeah, transferring the knowledge across, I kind of find that you kind of have to relate it to something they enjoy a lot of the time when describing something. So if they're into, I don't know, like if they're really into makeup or something like that, you kind of have to I kind of like to take something like that and use an analogy with something. Because if you just kind of use the classic of like, if you're explaining some sort of calorie deficit, they don't really get it as such. But if you explain, if it's like spending money on something, or you've got a certain amount of money you can spend and things like that, people seem to understand it much better. So I think it's just taking the kind of science out of it a lot of the time and put it in layman's terms for people. So with girls, for example, if you say to them, like, I always kind of find if you tell them you've got a certain amount of money and you just have to use it wisely throughout the day, basically, rather than, and obviously that's macros you're talking about there, rather than just spending it all on one thing at once, just kind of distribute it throughout the day. It's just about trying to transfer that knowledge in it and make it easy for people and put it in a way that they're going to understand personally, because a lot of personal training is also understanding personality types as well, and kind of reading people, knowing what they're going to react well to. Some people love the science behind things and they will actually react better to that, and then some people will react better to just totally simple and trying to make some sort of comparison to just daily life or something they enjoy. I always find works a lot better.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you're spot on in terms of, you've got to see every client is different, so some will respond completely different ways, and you've got to understand that like everybody learns in different ways as well, not just everybody's individual and specific. Everybody learns different ways as well. So, so you've been a personal trainer for 3 years, and then you said last summer you made the transition to online coaching. What have you learned from that? So in terms of one-to-one online coaching, even though, like I say, I'm a personal trainer, online coach, but actually, even though it's still in the fitness industry, they are quite different in some aspects. How have you found the transition of like still being a personal trainer, online coach? And what have you found challenging about it? What have you found different?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. My business model of online coaching to when I started to now is like totally different, because obviously you see everyone now with like the classic of like they're on their Instagram of like the feedback uploading on YouTube and stuff like that. So I was like, how the hell do people do that? And then I just obviously again, like, you see the amount of people, and you're probably the same, who message you like how you do that, and I didn't want to do that, so I just researched it and then got it. Whereas before, it used to just be a quick email and then just go back and forth like that. So whereas now it's so much better. I've got obviously like Google Sheets and everything's live, and people love that. I think people quite like the fact of like you can see all that, and it's weird. Like my probably best transformations at the moment, and this is not like tarnishing PT clients or whatever, but they probably are through online coaching, I would say. I don't know if that's because people have got like strict guidelines, got a hit every day, and with PTing you can't. You're kind of given, if you start doing the online side of things with PTing, you're giving yourself a lot of work to do. As for example, if you had a PT client who also kind of almost had the online coaching template, it's quite a lot. But I kind of feel with documenting all the data, the more data you have, the more power you have in a sense, and better decisions you can make. So I am quite enjoying that. I feel like the transformations I'm getting with them are better. Sometimes the training's not as good because you can't, like with form, you know what it's like, trying to explain form face to face can be hard at times, never mind video feedback. So trying to explain to someone like scapular retraction and stuff like that, or like hinging is just like such a hard one, because you can show the movement, but trying to actually teach someone that across basically like what we're doing at the moment is quite tough. So but it's grown quite well alongside PTing. Obviously, as you say, they are totally different in a way, I think, because you give the people feedback, but it's quite interesting as well, because people just think like online coaching, they see the upload on the YouTube or whatever, and they think that's it, but it's actually just constant. You know, it's like, it's just WhatsApps every day, and it's just even just nice things like people, I got a PB on my flat press today, and then you just go back and forth about that, or can you send me like the video across, let me see it, stuff like that. It's just non-stop. But until someone invests in an online coach, they don't realise it. But I think it was definitely a good investment, I would say, especially if you're quite an experienced lifter, and I would always recommend getting someone to look over your kind of every kind of movement, especially your squat, hinge, and your horizontal push and presses, things like that, and then kind of maybe go into online coaching. But what I've kind of like seen now is that work quite well is like maybe about 4 to 5 sessions of PT, and then the transfer to online coaching works quite well, because then you can kind of have a full look at every single movement they'll be doing and then go from there. I feel that works quite well with my online coaching anyway. I do try and chuck in at least one session a month as part of the kind of package, just to make sure everything's running smoothly. And then obviously now that I'm in a gaining phase of an hour working with someone who's in a calorie deficit, it kind of gives them the intensity to match. But it's good. I mean, I have a few mates as well who got online coached by me, and the funny thing is, like, a lot of people would say like, oh, you can't really like online coach a mate or whatever, but you just got to have a totally different relationship, I think, because you know it's like, you can't really be proper good mates with someone if you can't be honest with them anyway, because and I think people know that. But I've got a whole broad spectrum, but I do enjoy it. I quite enjoy the video feedback, getting your time to just give as much feedback as you can, because you know what it's like in PT, and you've got that hour slot, but sometimes you kind of look in the clock thinking, we've had a long conversation here and we've not done a lot, but what I'm giving you is value information. But it's a tough one. So from that perspective, I think you actually may be able to take in a lot more through online coaching. But then again, from a training perspective, PTing is definitely the way to go. But they are different in a sense. But I do definitely find people, they seem to learn so much because you've got like 20-minute feedbacks of just everything about them, and people quite like it. I say to people all the time, it's kind of like your own your own little podcast about yourself. I would imagine it's probably quite nice. I've never experienced it. I've never had it before, but I'd imagine people probably love it. You always see people like reposting on people's Instagram like how much they enjoy it, and I imagine it's quite good. I remember Simon you had on the podcast before. It's 70-30 fitness, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah, he did a really good post about it before. Not so much about online coaching and PTing, but I think one of his clients mentioned that it was kind of like having like an accountant or someone to fix your car. It's one less thing to worry about. So if you're coming to your check-in day and you've had a bit of a rough week or whatever, or you don't know what to do going next, it's all done for you. It's nothing to stress about. And I think that's such a valid point. I think I've seen really good progress from people from online coaching because they know they've got all the data there. They send you across, and then you know what to do, and basically the changes have been made for them if they need to be made, and then they go from there. I think people, all they have to do is just follow what's been put on for them and just take it. Whereas with PTing, there has to be some sort of crossover in how much you're going to give them, because I don't know how you feel about this, but you have to watch they're not almost like online coaching a PT client, because I've done that before. I've kind of said, well, I think we'll get better results if we can track as much as we can. So it's a hard one. I don't know what your thoughts are on that as well. Like, what do you think, like, in the terms of, like, do you have quite a big difference between your PT clients and online clients?
Yeah, just to touch on the point, I think you touched on so many fantastic points and aspect of pros and not necessarily cons, but just how it differentiates. I think with my one-to-one clients, I think the ones I have one-to-one perhaps wouldn't be able to go down the online coaching route. And the only reason I say that is purely because, again, I had this question yesterday, sorry, just to refer back to yesterday, was do you have to be a personal trainer to be an online coach? And technically you don't, but I personally think you do, because you deal with people, you understand like how they work and how just about them really, because I think some of my one-to-one clients they need that one-to-one, like you said, but form, scapular retraction, there's so many, even though some people think they might be doing it right, they're not. So I think one-to-one in that aspect is fantastic. But then online coaching, man, I love that so much in terms of, I have like a group WhatsApp team, a team WhatsApp group, and I don't even do much talking myself. They talk themselves. So in terms of like creating an environment, it's brilliant. Whereas one-to-one, you don't get that as much. And I think I really enjoy online coaching. I think that's definitely the way to go. But like you said, like I'm not too sure if it's two it's two separate things. I personally think so.
Yeah, there is definitely a change. It's like if I'm ever going to do very, very light kind of coaching with someone on maybe a PT kind of thing, just for like a week or so, to kind of get them to show how to track things like that, just to kind of get a bit of data and see maybe where they're going wrong. Because a lot of the time you'll see people like, oh no, I'm not losing weight, or I'm not gaining weight, and I'm like, right, let me see a full week. So you'll do very light coaching. So literally what I would usually do is like maybe steps and maybe even just protein and calories, just to get a brief idea. But as you say, there is like, because my coaching sheets for online clients who are really kind of treating themselves as athletes, if you like, compared to like average population, just typical kind of like just weight loss steady, it's totally different, But it definitely has to be some sort of like difference there. I think I do know what you're saying. It's because a lot of like maybe even the terms you use for some of my online clients, people just like they'll just be thrown away by it. Or if you ask certain people to track certain things just for that week, people just kind of freak out, as you say. And some people just like the face-to-face interactions. Some people just don't like the online coaching side of it. And then some people don't, as you'll probably experience this as well. There's some guys that they'll speak to in the gym, but they don't want PTing because they don't want all their mates to see them getting PT'd or whatever. But then online coaching, they'll love that, which is totally fair enough. I get it. I get it.
I think it's a little bit like, say for example, like supermarkets. Some people still love going to a supermarket and still having that service, whereas some people like myself, I just want to do it at home, and I don't care too much about going in and getting everything. I'd rather do it online. So I think it's the same applies for sort of one-to-one and online coaching.
So true.
I think you made some fantastic points there, mate. In terms of you as a personal trainer, you've got fantastic experience, and obviously you're making that transition to online coaching. So where can people find you in terms of, you're on Instagram?
So it's Dynamore Fitness on Instagram. That's my business page. So I will be bringing out a podcast fairly soon. So I'll try and return the favour, because it would be quite interesting to hear your points on it. So because you're obviously you're just absolutely smashing at the moment, so doing really well. And I think you're an inspiration to a lot of guys as well. How you kind of obviously, because I remember you just kind of propped up when you were doing your competitions and things like that, and then obviously now I think you're a great example of someone who treats it like a job. You actually, it seems like, what was your background before? Were you a teacher or something like that?
Yeah, man. So I lived in London. I was a trainee teacher.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just didn't want to do that anymore, basically. It's that's why I made this podcast, and
it's definitely. It's that jump in a routine, the way you do things. It's because I think a lot of people don't treat it as a job a lot of the time. They just kind of that'll do. I've got my clients. That's it. They're quite content,
Yeah.
But I've seen with PT, and if the moment you get content, you'll get clients who maybe drop off or whatever, or just because it's natural, Some people get to where they want to get to, and then they just don't want to carry it on, or they can't invest anymore. And then that's when the people are like, shit, I need to do an Instagram post now, or I need to do this. But if you're staying on top of all the time, you always get traction. So it's cool. But you can find me on Dynamore Fitness on Instagram, and then I'll bring out a podcast, so I'll chuck that on there. And then that's pretty much, it's just the two platforms I'll have for just now. So, and that's pretty much it.
That's cool, man. So like Wallace said, if you head over to his Instagram, he's going to hopefully have a podcast out soon, which will be a fantastic listen. But thank you so much for coming on, mate. And we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, cool. Speak to you soon, man. Cheers.